Top 1% producer here in Atlanta,
Yes.
over $20 million in sales.
I ascended at a rate that was extremely fast. He couldn't wrap his head around it. I had to grieve the person I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. It wasn't just a little bit of cheating. Sometimes when you can be so much, they have to go somewhere where it's so much less to make them feel bigger.
Wow.
Quiana, why would you let this person disrespect you this much? Are you that desperate to be with somebody that you will allow yourself to feel less than yourself?
Wow.
And I think that as women, at some point, you got to look yourself in the mirror. And it just started with a DM. A woman sent me a DM with a video.
Oh,
and
wow.
then
Welcome to Vault Empowers Talks, where we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential people and change makers. I'm your host, Brandi Harvey. But before I introduce my guest for today, I need you to go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss your daily dose of inspiration and motivation. But without further ado, I get to introduce this amazing woman sitting next to me. Quiana Watson is an Atlanta real estate broker and the owner of Watson Realty Company. In 2023, Quiana was ranked as the top 1% producer of realtors, according to the Atlanta Realtors, with over $20 million in sales. Her ability to successfully leverage her marketing and management expertise has been the key to her successful real estate career. As a partner in the Black-owned micro-home community called South Park Cottages in College Park, Georgia, South Park Cottages will be the first modern cottage community designed as a pocket community in the United States and the largest tiny home community in Georgia. Outside of real estate, Quiana is a TV personality, public speaker, investor, and mentor with her online community, Agent Tools for Success. Quiana believes excellent service yields exceptional results. Vault Empowers Talks welcome broker, owner, media personality, mogul, and a top 1% producer, Quiana Watson, to the show.
oh, wow. I did all that. Let me pop my collar.
Yes, you should. That's how I want you to feel when you come sit in this seat.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You have not been playing small in the world.
No, I have not. I
No.
don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I believe that if you want something, you have to get out here and take it.
Oh, and that you have done.
Yes.
Top 1% producer here in Atlanta,
Yes.
over $20 million in sales. I mean, you have glamorized the real estate market here in Atlanta. I feel like you've honed in on this glamorous real estate market. So give us a little secret to your sauce.
I think the secret to my sauce is I stay true to who I am. And I attract the right people.
Yeah.
And so often real estate is looked at as something being boring or people don't understand it. So the people that work with me, they can relate to me.
Yeah.
Most of them are in actresses, actors, or
Yeah.
they're in media. So when they see someone like, oh, she's relatable and
Yeah.
she's going to explain this to me. Oh, she has on the same shoes I have on.
Yeah.
We have something in common, and now we can use that common thread, and I can educate them about the importance of being homeowners, the importance of real estate, and how it can help create generational wealth.
Yeah. Did you always see this for yourself? You grew up, you were a country girl.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you see this for yourself?
I always knew I wanted something big.
Yeah.
Like my mom always says, we always knew you were going to be different. I'm the second oldest of 6 kids, right?
Oh, wow.
Grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, a small town, but I just always knew there had to be more.
Yeah.
And I didn't see myself here, but I saw myself not there. So I think that was the first step, right? I didn't see myself there.
Yeah.
And as I continued to expose myself to different things, when I was in college, I would come to Atlanta, and Lord, I'm telling my age now. Listen, I got a little seasoning on my chicken. I am not that young.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would come here when they had Luda Day weekend.
Yeah.
When Justin's was open,
Yeah.
and I was like, "This is Black excellence." Like
Yeah.
I'm not used
Yeah.
to seeing this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm moving there. I didn't have
Yeah.
a job.
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan. But
Yeah.
I said, as soon as I got to college, I moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I just knew something greater would come out of that.
Yeah. So greater was on the horizon for you out of Fayetteville. You went to your HBCU grad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fayetteville State University. Yes. Shout out to the Broncos. It really helped shape me.
Yeah.
You know, it prepared me. And I think that going to an HBCU, what I recognize is being around that type of excellence and seeing other people that look like you do great things. It gives you the confidence to go out
Yeah.
into the world and be your full self.
Yeah.
So often we feel like we have to water ourselves down or be something else to make other people comfortable. But that my experience of coming from an HBCU was like, you don't have to accept me for who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to win.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think that lends into the level of service that you give your clients, that
Absolutely.
you have like really created this reputation for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I became familiar with you through Instagram. And, you know, I remember seeing you at InvestFest 2 years ago. And I remember like seeing you backstage and really complimenting you. I said, I see you. Like, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, like, all right, girl. You know how you just see people in passing. I was like, Quiana Watson.
Yes, you
Watson
did.
Realty, you know? And I think, you know, you are one of those people who really embody this, you know, people really root for you, even though
Yes.
they don't know you.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And I feel like I think it's just everybody, especially for women, minority women too. And I think
Yeah.
it's all women. It's just like they see something in me that you see in yourself.
Yeah.
And so why wouldn't you root for yourself? If you're
Yeah.
rooting for me, means
Yeah.
you're rooting for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's the love I've received, and I love Atlanta for that. And it's not just Atlanta, just across the globe. But I wake up, I do my work, and I highlight my work. In a world that tells you can do everything else but be a professional businesswoman and be successful, it's refreshing to see something different.
Yeah.
And so it's different. It's like, oh, she really is selling real estate. She really is serving the best interests of her clients.
Yeah.
And she flies hell doing it.
Yeah.
Like, let me root for that.
I think that's what people see about you, and they
Yes.
notice because I mean you're this glamazon, you know,
Yeah.
walking into the room. You are immediately gonna turn heads because people want to say, well, who is that? Who just walked into the room? And so I think you own that.
Yes.
And I think that's the beauty of what I have seen in you, and I'm actually really happy that you're sitting across from me because I think I wanted to be able to really tell you that, you know,
appreciate
that you really do have this magic about you. That is very infectious. It's very infectious.
Listen, I want to say thank you. And I remember that time backstage at InvestFest, you know, and when you said that, I was like, wow. I was like, that's Steve Harvey's daughter. that's me. Like, oh, that's Steve Harvey's daughter. Like, hey, girl, you know, and I think I really have that personality, and it shocks people.
Yeah.
Because humbly, it's like, I'm really just doing, I feel like I'm operating in my God-given gifts, right?
Yeah.
I'm walking
Yeah.
in my purpose.
Yeah.
And when people see me, it's like, I'm glad you see me because I see you too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want you to know, like, I'm rooting for you like you're rooting for me.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing to see, you know?
So you become a mentor in
Yeah.
real estate because you've had great success, top 1% producer, over $20 million in sales, which in some cities people would say, well, that's not a lot.
Yes.
But in Atlanta, because of the highest house in Atlanta,
Was 16 million. We know what house that was that sold, and we know who sold it. I know these numbers.
that's so funny.
Yes, it's a joke, right? I say that to say they will say it's not.
Yeah.
I can tell you, and this is why you can't operate in that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I was invited to LA, right, with this his agent. His name is Aaron Kerman. He sold a $100 million house to the owner of Fashion Nova. We did an interview with him, and he's like, "Hey, I have it was like a broker's open. We were only down there just to film for 2 days." He was like, "And you guys can go as black tie." So this is at 6:00, like on a Friday. It's a black tie event the following day. He invited me and my business partner at the time. We was like, we're going to this open house. And the first thing I felt when I first met him, my heart dropped. I'm like, $100 million house, one house? It's like my little numbers don't mean anything. Then we're at a broker's open at a $20 million house, right? And what I thought about was, where you are is where you're supposed to be. So his opportunity and what he has going on over here in LA, that's his win.
Yeah.
But what my opportunities and what I have going on here in Atlanta, these are my wins, and they still deserve to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And I had to check myself about that because I almost was like, ooh, I'm scared to say I only sold $20 million a year when he's selling $20 million houses.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I'm inspiring other people because we are in a different
Absolutely.
state. The highest sold house here was $16 million.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of those huge sales consistently, but that doesn't mean your work can't be celebrated and you can't be impactful to other people.
I mean, impactful is the word because you are not only empowering yourself and those who work at Watson Realty because you've had an influx in the people who want to work for you
Absolutely.
because they are inspired by you, but you also have a mentoring organization that you started, Agent Tools for Success.
Yes.
And so you are using your life not just as to inspire people on the gram, but also to inspire them to joining real estate so
Absolutely.
they can make money for themselves.
Listen, I tell people all the time, I love that I have a mentorship because I give real information to help scale their business. And I feel like real estate has changed my life.
Yeah.
Even as a part-time agent, if you can make an additional $50,000 a year working part-time with friends and family and supplement your income and invest that into some real estate development, invest it into property or into stocks, it's going to lead you the way to create that generational wealth, to create a passive income for yourself and your family. I just feel like real estate is such a beautiful field. Everybody deserves it. If you want to do it, I want to be able to show you how to do it. And I'm going to share real information on how you can accomplish your individual goals.
Yeah. Ladies Who List Atlanta.
Okay.
You know, you've done these amazing things in your career, and I think that people do seek you out because you have such a presence on social media.
Yeah.
And I think that that's even why, probably how it lended itself to you being on a reality show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been approached by so many reality shows before I said yes to that one.
Haven't we all?
And so let me start. And I've never told this story, but I don't mind telling this. So right at the time when Ladies Who List was coming, Carlos King was on my phone about doing another show that was going to be surrounded around me, handpick a couple of high influence people in Atlanta. But he was very honest. I'm going to say that. From my interaction with him, he was like, Quiana, listen. They're going to know you sell real estate, but we're really not, we're not that interested in your real estate day to day. Like, it's going to be about you, this fabulous life, this. And so at the time, I was like, I got a choice. I'm like, well, I can either choose this or I can go on Ladies Who List, which we had been working on the pilot, and we're going to highlight business. This is going to be beautiful. This is going to be great for the culture.
Yeah.
So I chose Ladies Who List. We started filming, and we filmed a lot of real estate scenes, which in my opinion, now I might be biased. I'm going to say that. Though it was drama within the real estate scenes, I didn't feel like we had to inflate or embellish or add anything additional because within the real estate, it was enough drama as is. So looking back on Ladies Who List, I got to be honest with myself. I know what happened. I'm just like, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but out of all the agents that was on there, it's like, I outsell all of y'all, and y'all think y'all gonna get on this show and like play with me? Like, I know this is not a competition about real estate, but like they trying to make you look like you selling like I'm selling, but we know you not. And so, like, I'm feeling a way about the way they're doing these edits. It's not that I feel a way about what y'all saying. It's like you as a producer, you're not gonna come in here and make this person up because I worked too hard to get to where I am for you to embellish and try to make things appear like they're not. So I was checking them every time.
Oh, wow.
And I think that was, and I know for me, that's when I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
Because I could have just did my own show then. If it was going to be made up, embellished drama, I could have just been over there.
Yeah. Because you only did one season. And then after which you told them that you did not want to continue on.
No, I didn't. And I told them why. I said, I just feel like you guys recorded so many real estate things and you created this drama, and I was not prepared. I think if I would have signed up for a show that I knew what it was about, like, I don't know, a Housewives or something, I would have known going into that, this is what this is about. But I didn't go into the real estate show feeling like we were going to be about drama and having people create drama, because what's the best thing to do when you want to get popping? Argue with the person that's the most popping.
Absolutely.
Make sure that the person that has the most motion, somehow that motion can flow off to you if you create this false drama. So I did what I do best. I left them where they had me effed up at. I left them right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you think that this is something that you will want to, take a jump at again? Like doing a show?
I would be open to it again.
Yeah.
I would be open to it again because now I know how it works. And all it takes is, I know what I would want. Like, definitely going to get me some EP rights. I'm definitely going to have certain things in my contract. So that way, if there's going to be a level of drama, I'm going to get what I want out of it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just learning the business, right?
Yeah.
But I'm definitely open to it because I feel like it's still a need, and I enjoyed the process. I just didn't like the way they chopped everything down.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But I think it probably put more eyes on you and people who wanted to actually work for you, though, right?
Yeah, it put more eyes on me. People wanted to work with me, for me, join my mentorship, or even people that like related to me, or even those that were like, wow, the way she was like, I don't like the way y'all playing this.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I don't think that most women, especially Black women, we don't speak up for ourselves. When we don't like something, we just allow it to happen. And I was like, I'm not going to allow this to happen to me. So here's my attorney, and this is what we said, and now we're not doing this anymore. I wish y'all the best.
So were you already under contract for more than one season?
The way those contracts are set up, let's just say you get locked in with the network.
It'd be like Death Row Records.
Yes, you get locked
It's
in.
Death Row.
Because
Welcome to Death Row.
It's like welcome to Death Row Records, because what you don't recognize is as long as you're under that umbrella company, you may not be on that network, but what they're going to make sure of is someone else comes to you with an opportunity, they're going to get something off of it.
Yeah.
And that's how it works, because people understand talent.
Yeah.
They know talent when they see it. They're not crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. They know talent when they see it.
Yeah.
I think that you definitely have been able to create a persona.
Oh, yeah.
Of some sorts. Has that been the goal?
No.
Yeah.
What happens is when people would meet me, they think it's a persona. Then it's like, I've been around her for a second. This is who she is.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to put on to be something you're not. It's another thing, like, this is who I am. And to most people, it's a persona. But to me and the people that love me, that's just Quiana.
Yeah.
That's just who she is as a person.
Yeah.
I can't see myself, changing who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it been hard to kind of walk this line, though, between your business life and your personal life? Because there's been a lot of things that have had to meld themselves together via social media for you. You know, how's that line been? And being able to walk that and manage that?
You have to figure out how you want to pace it. That would be my response. But the immediate thing we like to do when personal things or personal challenges come is hide from it. Yeah. And, coming from North Carolina, that means you being fake. You're being phony. You only want to celebrate the greatness. But what's really admirable to people is how do you move when you've taken some of the greatest losses, right? And so I've learned to share enough with the public where it's like, I'm not going to leave you hanging on anything. I'll close the door for me, but we're not going to keep dragging this out. And I think that's how I like to approach it, because there are people that will use circumstances and try to, I'm not going to capitalize off of my personal life or capitalize off of my losses, right? So even as I was dealing with my divorce, I had a lot of options. You know how my phone was blowing up? Oh, let's get you on this show. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Because now it's like there is something salacious attached to her. People are watching. But then what I realized is, let me just address it when I was ready to. That way I can address it my way, but I'm not going to capitalize off of it.
Okay, because people may not know, right? You were married for a number of years, 9 years?
So no, we were together for 14 years. We were married for 10 years.
Okay.
So a 14-year relationship, a 10-year marriage. And we had just celebrated our 10-year marriage March 2023.
Okay.
March 23rd, 2023, to be exact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Married for 10 years.
Yeah.
You all were very public. You all were doing business together, all of the things. Very handsome couple.
Yeah.
And then one day you posted on your Instagram a message.
Yeah, so... And by the time I posted the message, I want to say I posted the message in November 2023. So let me give some transparency here, because I think most people don't get that. That's why you got to know how to manage people. The situation started in June 2023. So I always say the gift and the curse is always social media. And it just started with a DM. A woman sent me a DM.
No.
With a video.
Oh,
and
wow.
then from that DM, and then me doing my own research, and then it was another woman. And then I looked deeper in my DM, and then it was another photo of my ex-husband at this woman's house. His car is in front of her house, and someone had took a picture and sent it to me in my DM. And I'm like, I be in my DM a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah.
But it was always there, right? And so June is when everything started to crumble. So I found out about 2 women within the span of, like, I would want to say within a week.
Oh, wow.
And so from him and I going back and forth, we're arguing and we're, I'm trying my best, but I'm also a researcher, and I try to have a little respect for what we had, but I just it was like such a deep dive I started to do, because now I'm relentless in trying to figure out, how did you have these 2 situations while being married to me? Like, you have the audacity to get on reality television with me, start these businesses with me, you're with me all the time. I couldn't quite figure it out. So I started to, I just did a deep dive, and I'm like, this is a lot. I don't think I I don't think I want to deal with this. I filed for divorce. So I found out in June. I filed for divorce in July. We were divorced August 25th.
Wow.
And it's just certain things that, and it wasn't, I think that a lot of people is like, I'm so sick of hearing this. Everybody cheats, right? Y'all gonna say that everybody cheats. Oh, everybody cheats. Like you're supposed, like that is the passageway. Like, oh, everybody cheats, so just deal with it. But I can say with my ex-husband, there were a lot of layers. It wasn't just the cheating. And I think the layers is what I didn't like what is unforgivable to me. I don't feel like you should, if you're cheating, and I have male friends, right? If you're cheating and your side girlfriend, because I would call them a side chick, but no, these are side hens. These are grown ass women, okay? Grown ass women. You know, you are cheating with a grown woman. Don't allow that person to even partially disrespect your wife, because see that's when I started to have a real issue. And like I'm polished, I am, but I am still from North Carolina at my deepest soul. And so I had to say, you know what, I didn't like the way certain situations played out. We have businesses together, we have a lot of things we're doing together, and you sacrifice all of that for this. And so we were divorced on August 25th this year. When I did Invest Fest, what people don't know, that weekend of Invest Fest, when I hosted this year, my divorce was finalized that Friday. Invest Fest was August 25th through the 28th. That Friday, the 25th, while I was hosting an event at my office, I had just got the finalization of my divorce. And I kept moving that weekend. I did every event. I did my panel. I did everything that I was supposed to do in that space. And I want people to know, so now it's November.
Yeah.
And I make my announcement. And I make my announcement because I'm tired of the speculation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide from it. But like I told everyone, it's like I needed to process everything for myself. It was a process. I had to grieve the person I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. I had to grieve that part of my life. I thought this was it. You know, we're building. I thought we were a great couple. And most people can stay in relationships and say it was just a little bit of cheating. It wasn't just a little bit of cheating. And out of respect for my past situation, I'll just say it was more than that. And it's just some things are just, you just can't come back from certain things. Yeah. You know, certain amounts and levels of disrespect you just can't come back from. And that's where I stand with it. And when I made my announcement in November, I wanted people to know this is what happened to me. And while you guys are watching, because all you see is me selling real estate, me still showing up, doing my job, I can be as publicly private as I want to be. And when I'm ready to release my information, I did. And it empowered so many people. I wasn't prepared for that. Yeah. I wasn't trying to empower people. What I was trying to do, I wanted to release myself. Because I feel like it's a shame that comes with it. Yeah. Like, why should I be ashamed because he decided to cheat on me? Yeah. Why would I be ashamed because of someone else's actions? Yeah. I'm not going to walk around like that's something, like it's my fault. It's not my fault. He's a grown man. He made grown decisions. That has nothing to do with me. So I'm not going to feel ashamed because my marriage did not work out. It didn't work out because I had a person that decided to cheat. Yeah.
Wow. 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 I'm literally like, whoa. Yeah. Do you think at any point that your success, your level of success, played into any of his insecurities or to the reasons as to why he decided?
You know, we talk, and we went to church, we went to therapy, we did all the things.
Yeah, because you all tried to reconcile.
Yes, we tried to reconcile. Yeah. And he says those things. And I think about that, right? And this is my thought process. If you're with me though, so you're with me getting flown out to Dubai to speak at a real estate conference. You're with me getting flown out to London to speak at at the real estate conference. So you're with me while I'm doing these things. How can you be intimidated by those things? Or how can you say that me working and, wanting to focus on our financial future and legacy was an interruption to our marriage? Because based on my research and at some point, let me tell y'all, I'm not trying to lighten this up, but it was kind of hilarious. I feel like I put together, y'all know, like Special Victims Unit. I put together like an SVU case. I literally had so much stuff. I was this close to printing it. It was this big old folder. My best friend was like, Quiana, please do not print it. You're going to be obsessed. I had a case on all of them. It was bad. I mean, I was going through every credit card, I found everything. I'm mixing up dates. I spent June to July date fact checking where I was at, where he was at, where this person, what he spent, what was paid, Cash App, Venmo. I'm on American Express. I'm in our bank account. I found everything, right? And now, every time I looked at when he was spending time or found a way to spend time with someone that wasn't his wife, I didn't neglect you. You neglected me to go be with them. Because every time he was doing something with them, I was either at home, because I have the records. I was on Instagram trying to sell a class, on Instagram talking about a house. I was at home. So I wasn't that busy. You just chose that. And I think that it's not just the success, it's the visibility. I think the visibility is what got him. It wasn't just the success, because he was successful in his own right.
Yeah.
The visibility. And I think it is intimidating. And I stand behind it. Sometimes when you can be so much, they have to go somewhere where it's so much less to make them feel bigger.
Wow.
And those women definitely were less. I stand behind it, and you know who you are.
This is the first one we've ever had. I would just go ahead, Quiana Watson. You done laid the hammer down today. Listen, the first one. Well, it's interesting because even you talked about that 2 weeks after you started Watson Realty Company, and you are branded in your company today. 2 weeks after you started, you began fertility injections.
Yes.
And you stated that, at the time, you felt like the biggest failure when everyone else looked at you as a great success.
Yeah.
But you were going through fertility injections, and come to find out, you weren't infertile.
Exactly. So, and this is when I tried to cover everything up for him, right? By the time we're on the show, and the company that we did start the IVF with, they ended up giving us like all of our money back. So we went and did all these tests.
Wow.
And we go through the IVF journey. And for those that don't know or that do know, you start giving yourself these shots, right? You're like a little scientist. You're giving yourself these shots. And so you get to the point where you give yourself the booster shot. So you give yourself the booster shot, they're supposed to, implant the semen. And when I was about to give myself the booster shot, I got a call from the office and said, okay, Quiana, who is your sperm donor? And I'm like, well, I'm married, and I came in with, my husband at the time. So I was confused I was like, what are you talking about? Like, why do I need a sperm donor? And then it just started to unravel from there, from us having conversation with the doctor and the nurse. And then we get on an emergency Zoom, and it's just like, okay, so I didn't even have to go through this. There is not enough on his end to produce a child. And so you're telling me I need to get a sperm donor. So technically, I didn't even have to be on IVF in the first place. And so we knew that. And at the time, my ex-husband at the time, he was very clear. He was like, he said he didn't want to have another man's baby. He didn't want to have a sperm donor. And I have to be honest with myself. I'm indifferent about children, right? I'm very indifferent. All of my brothers and sisters have kids. Yeah. I've grown up around kids my whole life. I'm indifferent to the point where if we can have it, great. I'll be good at it. But if not, okay. For me, it's like, it's me, you, a dog. We have this beautiful life. Yeah. My nieces and my nephews. I bought my mom a house literally 5 minutes around the corner from the house I shared with my ex-husband. My nieces and nephews are there. It's like, life is good. I don't necessarily need this. So I decided, I'm like, well, you don't want a sperm donor. We can have a relationship where we don't have kids. Most people just always assumed it was me, and I allowed it because I felt like him and men and their insecurities, he wasn't going to own it. And me, I'm like, as his wife, I'm going to protect him.
So you take on this burden.
Yeah.
As his wife.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that people don't really talk about, what the sacrifice that people make in marriage.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was like, I'm protecting you.
Yeah.
And I'm letting the world think it's me. Like, everyone's like, oh, she can't have kids. And I'm in this like articles and blogs and all that, because the number one thing people hate to see, especially with Black women, is how dare you be confident, be happy, and be successful. Let me find something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Oh, she can't have kids.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know. And so and I let them have that.
Wow.
And when it was time to like announce the divorce, I'm like, you know what I felt? I felt like I've been protecting you, and you could not protect me.
Yeah.
And I'm in a space where I'm not protecting you anymore.
Yeah.
And I no longer want to carry your weight. But let your burdens be your own,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you feel like you've had to do that not just in your marriage, but in other relationships?
No,
Okay.
only in my marriage. And I know because of course, all my other relationships, I was in my 20s. I was young and, I wasn't as mature and understanding of how relationships are supposed to work. Only in my marriage did I learn that compassion, that you really want to be that Proverbs 31 woman, like you want to be there for your person.
Yeah.
So it was only in our marriage that I felt the need to protect him.
At your own detriment in some ways. Yeah.
I feel like it was at my own detriment in a lot of ways, in a lot of different things that took place. But I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I don't regret it. And I feel like marriage is a beautiful thing. I had a beautiful marriage.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. And I wouldn't take that back. And I tell people that all the time. I wouldn't take it back because I was chosen. And at one point we were happy and we were in love and we were all the things. And now we're not.
Yeah.
I
mean, and you made the decision so quickly.
Yeah.
You made the decision very quickly. And most people find it very difficult to make life-altering decisions like that quickly. You say by June, by July, by August, right? You're in a 3-month time. Your summer was like,
my summer was chaotic. That was the most chaotic summer I've ever experienced in my life. I moved out. I was living at hotels for a little while because I just didn't want to stay with friends or family. I didn't want to be seen because I was too busy researching, putting together my SUV case. But beyond that, I wanted to isolate. I needed to really try to work through. And I'll just say, I think with us having business together and then me looking through these emails and these timelines, it's like, in some instances, like I'm not new to being cheated on. I'm a woman, right? I have been cheated on in college. I've been cheated on with my first boyfriend, second boyfriend before I got with my husband. But in our marriage, I had never caught him with anything. I have and that's just like, and most people like, ain't no way she didn't know. When I dated him, I caught him in things.
Yeah.
But once we got married, I never caught him in anything. And it wasn't that I wasn't looking.
Yeah.
So to get gut punched like that.
Yeah.
So to get shocked like that, and then we have business together, and then to see things that have transpired and transactions between you and these women, I was pissed off.
Yeah.
I was pissed off. I was upset. And I was enraged. I needed to. Sometimes I looked like, did I make a hasty decision on hurrying up and getting a divorce and moving out or not? But when I look back at the amount of disrespect, no.
It wasn't worth it.
Nope. It wasn't.
And you moved out. And most women, though, honestly, most women would say, you got to get out.
Girl. That's why most women got to have their own shit. And I mean that. Like, if you know that you have your own money, you have your own business, watch the realty code. This is my business.
Yeah.
I built this business. He had no parts in building it, and he has no parts in the business now. And I always understood to have your own, because that way you can do what you want to do and not what you need to do. Most women need to stay in the house. They have to. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have the means to leave.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the solution to everything is leaving, especially if you are married and you guys can pray through it, you can work through it, and you can forgive them. But for me, I had to look myself in the mirror and respect myself. And when we were trying to reconcile, I could never really, even during that period, I'm like, he's doing all the right things. But every time I look at myself, I feel like, Quiana, why would you who are you? Why would you let this person disrespect you this much? Are you that desperate to be with somebody that you will allow yourself to feel less than yourself?
Wow.
And I think that as women, at some point, you got to look yourself in the mirror. And if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I feel good about it, then do it. But if you can't feel good about you, and you are the alpha, you are the omega of your own life, come on, you got to choose you.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's very bold. That's brave.
Yeah.
Because I think so often we get in relationships and they do look at women who are strong and talented and ambitious, and they say they are looking for something, to find something wrong with you, to knock you down.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, she can't stay married. Oh, she wants to give up on her marriage. Oh, look at her. She gonna let that man go, and he gonna be with all the things. And you're like, I have to be able to look at myself. That's powerful.
Let me tell you, you have to look at yourself, and you can't be consumed by other people and their thoughts. That's why I'm grateful that I slowly built my business and built my audience and built this like notoriety, because at every turn it gave me the strength to deal with the criticism of other people. People are going to criticize you no matter what. So now it's like, she can't keep a marriage, you know. Even the other day, and I don't even mind this being posted. My ex-husband, he be texting me all the time. If I wanted to be married next week again, I could be, and I stand behind that. But beyond that, he posted on Valentine's Day, right, an entire video set up, flowers and all this stuff, like a whole room decorated. And he wrote some type of message like, if you got something you love, hold on to it, da 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 da. So now everybody's in my DMs like, oh, he done moved on. That is a setup he did for me 4 years ago. He posted it so y'all could send it to me. So that way I can get the message. So I'm still being taunted from that, you know. So that way because he knew when he did that, I would eventually respond to his text. He was like, I don't care what they think. I said, yeah, but you could have added context to it. Because I could finish him off right and post the pictures of me in that room. But I'm not going to do it because I don't want to feed into, when you start feeding into the beast, you're going to always have to feed it. So I just let people think, you can think whatever, but he does things and he's done enough, right? And I'm not a never say never type of person, because I would have never thought I would be divorced at this big ass age and trying to get out here and figuring out what dating is like. We can talk about that too, but I definitely will say, I'm choosing. I'm really just reassessing myself right now. Like I'm choosing me. And I'm loving on me more.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowing the opinions of other people to hold weight on the decisions I'm making for my life. Because those people, like when I was crying and was having a hard time, and there's this whole rumor she's on Ozempic, I tell people all the time, this is the funniest thing I can ever say. I said, that man and them two ladies, they snatched them 15 pounds right out of me. That was the fastest weight loss I have ever experienced in my life. And I just have no desire to gain the weight back. So I've been maintaining it, and I found a different outlet. Like my therapist, like, what is your hobby? I had no hobbies. Now I do Pilates. I need to find something else to do. I say that to say, life will throw you many curveballs, but choose you always. Like look at yourself, and as long as you can love yourself and look at yourself and respect yourself, your decision is yours to be made. You want to forgive your husband if he cheated on you? Do it. You want to forgive your wife if she cheated on you? Do it. If you want to reconcile and make it work, do it. If it doesn't work, do it. But whatever you do, don't do it thinking about everybody else but yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem I have with most people. They'll stay in something to say they're in it because you're too afraid to step out because you're worried about what other people are going to say.
Yeah.
This life isn't promised. You have this one life. And because I know I'm a good person. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I walked away knowing that I was a great wife and I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And I didn't deserve what you did to me. And I can stand there and say that. And now I can say, okay, now I'm going to proceed with living my life without you.
Yeah. You said that you can't have it all, though.
I don't think so.
You don't think you can have it all. And you just recently found a hobby. Didn't have a hobby.
No hobby.
Like, no hobby. Work was your life.
Work.
And your family. Yeah.
Hang out with my family. Go to events. But I had no hobbies. Now I have a hobby. I'm like, something that's not work and something that doesn't involve like going out to eat or getting dressed. It's something for me. I do feel like, okay, I was listening to this person's podcast and I'm not going to say their name, but it was like, men don't care if women have careers. We don't care if women have all these things. You know, I did something around Valentine's Day. I was just talking about how single women have purchased way more houses. Like the percentage is huge than men. And they are still arguing under that live to this day. And this is what this is my message to just women and men in general, right? You say you don't care if a woman has their own thing. So what should a woman do while they wait to get chosen? Should they not have anything? So they should not have a job, right? They should not aspire to own a house. They should basically work a mediocre job, not buy a house, not aspire to more, and just wait for you to decide to choose them. And then when you choose them, when are you going to decide to pick up her tab? At what point do you as men decide, now I'm ready to take care of her because y'all don't care if we have anything. So when are we supposed to have something? None of it makes sense when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. Is it a month? So after a month of dating a woman, do you want her to not work so that way she can just be there for you? Like, at what point do you men come step up? Because if you can't immediately say, I'm going to meet this woman and in 2 weeks I'm going to pay all her bills so she can just be that feminine, divine, attentive woman to me, then what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then women, you can wait. You could be waiting forever.
Yeah.
And that's coming from someone that was chosen and was in a 10-year marriage. I'm telling you. So why not during your time of waiting to get the right person, build yourself, build your business? You know, it's just like, it's such a catch-22.
Yeah.
But one thing I know about me is, even within my busy work, even as busy as I was in my business, I am still a feminine, soft, fun, flirty woman. Like, ain't nobody gonna tell you different. When they come around me, I'm such a feminine woman. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how to run a household. I could do all those things and run my business.
Yeah.
So even for my ex-husband, when he used to say that, like, she was too busy, now he's like, I realized it wasn't that you were too busy. I know that. We both know that. It was because you just made poor decisions. Yeah. And I think as men, they need to start, just own that you made a poor decision. But that's a real question. Do you ever think that? Like, when do y'all want to pick up the tab? Like, I'm serious. Like, you don't want a woman to work. I promise you. I'm going to tell y'all right now. You want to come take care of me? I'll show you what the bills are. You pay it all. I'll sit home. What time do you want dinner ready? What you want me to wear? What's your favorite hair color? Like, okay, you want me to wear this color? Like, I'm fine with that. But y'all got to, when are you going to pick up the tab?
When do you
That
take
is the question.
Over my life?
Yes. They don't want to take over the life.
When do you become the executor of the estate?
Please become the executor of the estate.
I mean, it's real. But, you know, even in this rebuilding process, you know, you having to find hobbies and kind of rebuild this nature of your life without your marriage, you know, how have you had to rebuild your esteem? Because I can imagine that in that grieving process, in the loss,
right,
that there's something that had to have chipped away at you.
You know what chipped at me the most? It's like, I want to say this. I just couldn't believe that he was spending money on these women. I hate to say it. It wasn't what they looked like. It was just the fact that I know we worked hard as a couple to build what we built. And so for you to take out of our household to go and put it in another household, that right there, that's what irks me the most. I gotta, aesthetically, I'm a confident woman. I feel like I was made in God's light. I know that I'm beautiful, and I know I'm all the things. So it wasn't nothing about aesthetics. It wasn't that chipped away. I just couldn't believe the audacity of him to work with me and us work this hard for this many years. Both of us come from nothing, and then you're taking out of our household to go trick off. I think that
was the blow for you.
I'm trying my best to figure out why it bothers me so much, but I do know why. Because we built together. And so we're working 12-hour days together. You know, when I was in the midst of the reality show, I'm filming for the reality television show. I'm filming Rants and Gems podcast. I'm flying back and forth to New York. I'm being flown to this place, speaking on this panel, still running my real estate business, still taking care of my clients. So we're working tirelessly because I'm thinking we are a team working towards something. So for you to be my partner, watch me work this hard, work with me, but still find time and ways to still outsource what we're creating, what we have built to these women, I feel a way about that.
Yeah.
I do. I feel a way. I do. I feel a strong way about it. And that's why I stand, like, it's not that my self-esteem is thrown off. I mean, luckily, I say that luckily for me, I just feel like not only am I attractive, I'm very smart. I'm very charming. I do know that. I'm in different rooms. I mean, we're in different rooms. So I never felt like it was anything aesthetic. Yeah. Right? It was not aesthetic. It was like, oh, you're cheating on me because Quiana doesn't do this or Quiana doesn't do that. You cheated on me because I ascended at a rate that was extremely fast. And I just feel like he couldn't wrap his head around it. And I can tell you why. One time we had a conversation. It went from, that's Anthony's wife. That's Anthony's wife, which is my ex-husband's name, to that's Quiana's husband. And when they started to say that's Quiana's husband, that was like that was in 2020. That was the start of the chaos.
I mean, because I will definitely say 2020, I can really see that that's when your social media presence really, really took off.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
It did.
2020. Because I think that's when I learned about you.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And it took off then. And that's when it was like, now I got all these different clients and now I'm closing, these big deals. And now I'm with Earn Your Leisure. She's on this platform and people don't even know, like I've known them for years, but as they grew and ascended, I grew with them and then I launched a podcast. So all these things are happening I personally, even with talking to him, and he said this, you grew so quickly. And he was like, you weren't the same person I met. I'm like, yeah, you met me in 2007. You know what I mean? You met me back in the day. I'm not the same person.
Yeah, it's been many versions of you
since
2007.
Exactly.
What did you learn about yourself? Because I think that there are things that you've expressed that you learned about your husband during that time.
Yes.
But what was the biggest lesson that you learned about yourself?
And this is even for me. I communicated. I would tell him, listen, this week, these are the 20 things I'm trying to squeeze into a 5-day. Mm-hmm. So this week is going to be this. I would set the tone and I would communicate and I would say, this is where we're building at. And every time I think about, I have thought about my marriage. I thought about what happened 2020, 2021, 2022. Like, Quiana, what could you have done differently? And there's nothing you can do differently when you're communicating with someone about how you want things to go and they agree with you without them communicating with how they want things to go. So he never came. I would say, this is what we're doing right now. This week is going to be focused on this business, this. He's like, he would say, yeah, that's good. This is what we should be doing. But on the inside, in his mind, in his heart, he was not on board. I wouldn't have known that because you have to communicate. So I wouldn't have done anything different. But what I can say, what I realized is who I am today. Of course, now everything is built. I have 23 agents that work for me. I have 2 agents that personally work for me. I have 2 assistants that work with me. I actually have the most time I've had right now. This is the most time I've had in 4 years. And when he reaches out to me, I tell him that this is why you should have stayed. Now we got the time in the means. You want to go to Central Pay tomorrow? We have the time in the means to do everything we want to do. And now we're not together. Because when it was time to sacrifice, it's always the woman that makes the sacrifice. You know how Kobe said, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym? The woman is the one to hold the man down. When it was his turn to just let me continuously, we are going somewhere, he couldn't stay down with me. And that's the most disappointing part because I was leading us up. I wasn't leading us down.
Yeah.
I was, and unfortunately, I was given the light. Most men are supposed to lead. I get it. But what if you get a woman that actually has a great idea and a great business acumen? And even when it comes to him launching a development company, which he got in the divorce settlement, that is his development company now. Those are ideas that I put together.
Yeah.
And for us to kind of take over and go into development. And those are, though, again, nobody understands what it means as a man. To me, sometimes you stay down with your woman. That's your key player. So what I don't have regrets because I overly communicated. I'm a communicator. I'm gonna tell you this week don't have time for this, or next week we have time for this. This is what I'm doing. But I have definitely learned a lot about myself in this single mode.
Yeah.
What I recognize is I'm never going to allow myself to be hardened by what happened to me. I'm going to accept people for who they are. People love to say, oh, she's an alpha woman. That means she's not feminine. I'm the most dainty, feminine, soft woman you'll ever meet. Any man that has ever dated me, including my ex-husband, will say the same.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow myself to be hardened by this world, but I am going to walk in my light.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to dim it to make other people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I found different ways to find joy.
Okay.
And I think that you have to find joy when you have found joy in having a mate.
Yeah.
There's patterns, right? And I recognize I have a pattern, but I just ask my friends to help me supplement it. I'm used to having a date night every Friday, 10 years. It doesn't stop because you're not married. So now it's I'm dragging my friends out on Friday to take me, come with me to Nobu, come with me here. And I'm like, why can't I? And one day I was talking to my therapist and he said, it's a pattern.
Yeah.
It's a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Or you're used to having company.
Yeah.
So even you're used to always having someone to talk to. So again, what I'm working on now is let me get used to journaling more, because the worst thing you could do is be vulnerable. and put your heart or put your body in the wrong hands because you want company.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want company that bad.
Yeah. Oh, I totally know. I mean, journaling was when I began my healing journey many years ago, 2016. You know, journaling became the thing for me that really, it saved me.
Yes.
You know, which then end up turning into my book. But you know, on this journey, I know that your faith has been tested numerous times on this journey. And so give me one of those ways it's been fortified.
You know, I feel like on this journey, what happens is, as often you can be as strong-willed and all that stuff, but in your mind you start thinking like, you know, did I make the right choice? Is it too late? Like, am I too old?
Yeah.
Am I too this and too that to really start your life over? And the first thing I always think about is, you know, just have faith. Have some faith, Quiana. And I tell myself that often, because anytime I get afraid, I don't make decisions. If I'm afraid, if I feel like I'm making a decision out of fear, then I decide to not make a decision. And by doing that, it's helped me a lot. Like, if someone reaches out and say, "Hey, I want to take you out," and it's like, am I going out with this person because I want to? Or because I want to fill a void, and right now the void is to be around company because I'm used to that.
Yeah.
Let me find something else to do. So I found that in just really reading my Bible. I go to church every Sunday, even virtually. If I'm out of town, my girlfriend was in Miami.
You're at Change Church.
Yeah, I'm at Change Church. Yeah. Yes, I'm at Change
Daniels
Church.
Has been on the show.
Yes,
before.
Darius Daniels is incredible, and I've been going there for over a year. But everybody's just now paying attention because they got their eyes on me.
I see.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's just really having that faith, and just knowing that it's not too late. You're never too old. It's not too late. And as long as you are choosing yourself every time, and you're happy with yourself, like find that happiness in yourself, everything is going to work out according to plan, you know?
Yeah. You said you're finding new ways to find happiness and joy.
Yeah.
What's something that's bringing you joy in this season of your life?
You know what? I'm finding
outside of Pilates.
Yeah, not just Pilates. It's like, it's the little things, right?
Yeah.
It's like now I'm intentional with going to my mom's house. Intentional with going over there. They have dinner every Sunday, so I try to go on Sundays.
I love that. That was how I grew up. Yeah, that was my house.
It's like my nieces are there, and so in the spring, I'm intentional with doing things with my nieces and nephews. They like to go some slime place I took them to, or one day I took them out with me. We went out to lunch, and then they went to a closing with me. They acted up, but it was fine. It was fine. It worked itself out. And you know, finding joy in things like that.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to be so big, because the big things are always going to come.
Yeah.
And I've definitely found a lot of joy in just doing those small things. I mean, outside of Pilates, I have a life.
Yeah.
I have a life, and I feel like just nurturing my relationships more, nurturing my friendships, like being intentional with. I feel like I was so caught up in my own. I feel like I was in the middle of my own storm, and so I'm intentional when I call my friends. I ask them how they're doing, and I don't allow myself to dump. I think as friends, oftentimes we dump.
Yeah.
And so now,
were you guilty of doing that before?
No.
Oh, okay.
It only happened because I didn't have anything to be. I felt like everything was on the up and up. I had nothing to dump about. I thought my life was great.
Yeah.
So, but once I got my divorce, I realized with my friends, I'm like, every time I'm talking to them, it's either like, can you believe he said this, or he did that, or this happened, or this da-da-da-da. And it was just like, girl, release it. And stop dumping. These people, you love them. They have a life. They have other things going on other than Quiana and her divorce. And so now when I call my friends, I just ask them how they're doing. And if there's something I can do to help them. And it has enriched our relationships, enriched my friendships. And that's important to me. That's important to me. And I'm glad that I'm a girl's girl, because even in my marriage, I prioritize my girlfriends. And so they say that. They laugh at me, but they all say the same thing.
I'm a girl's girl too.
You know, it's like, oh, you calling me now? It's like, no, it's like she always called me. She always came to brunch. I never stopped. And that's why it's important, even if you are married, to keep those friendships, because you need all of them. You need every form of the friendships. And when it comes to relationships, friendships, you need all of that to survive in this world, and family. Yeah.
So as we close out this interview, I feel like this is the fastest hour
that
I've ever had. I mean, this thing has flown by. As we close out this interview, what is one word that you are committed to in this season of your life?
Value. I can say that quickly. Value. And value means so many things. I want to be treated as if I'm valuable. I want people that are valuable to be in my life. I want valuable relationships. I want valuable business partnerships.
Yeah.
Everything has to be valuable in this season.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Committed to value, finding joy in your life.
Yes.
What's next for you?
Right now, it's been focusing on my business, of course. I am doing more speaking engagements. I stopped doing them because I felt like it was interrupting my marriage at the time. So I stopped doing a lot of speaking engagements, and I just wanted to just do the business. So
You weren't doing podcasts.
I cut everything off.
Yeah,
No
did,
podcasts, no speaking engagements,
Yeah.
none of that. And now I'm like, you know what? I feel like I have something to say. So I'm doing more podcasting, more speaking engagements. And I'm working with one of my developers to launch my own development company this year. So
Okay, that would be like similar to the tiny home community that you are invested in.
So the tiny home community I was a partner with in Booker, Washington. I was the real estate partner with that one. So that was his community. But when I launch my development company, I'll more likely be focusing on individual residential, single family homes, 400, 500,000. We'll talk about the details. But I'm definitely looking to just launch my own development company this year and I want to do what I want to do. I've worked so hard for such a long time. So I'm in a space where it's like, what time do I need to be at the airport? What time do I need to be at the event? I want to enjoy as much life as possible this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy life, finding joy. New things on the horizon for you. I'm so excited. I think this was, I had no plan when I started this interview. I gave you some themes that we would talk about and notes, but I said that we would just allow this space to unfold, and it has definitely unfolded.
Yes, it's unfolded. Every time I speak on my truth, I feel better and better about myself.
You should.
And and on top of that, it's just my truth. It's my story. It's my life. And and maybe we'll see me trying to see if I want to date again. We'll see how that looks. We'll see if how dating looks. But I think for me, it's just really focusing on myself.
Yeah.
That has brought me the most joy. Like just focusing on my self-care, my health, my physical health, and also my mind. Like, allowing my mind to always think good thoughts.
Yeah.
Because it is so easy to get into a dark space. It is hard to climb out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can keep yourself in the light, please do.
Yeah.
I always say that to people.
That's a great note to end on. Keep yourself in the light. You guys, thank you for joining us here at Vault Empowers Talks for another insightful, meaningful, thought-provoking conversation. I'm your host, Brandi Harvey. Be sure to subscribe before you leave here so you don't miss your daily dose of inspiration and motivation. Until next time, you guys, eat well, give a damn, move your body every single day. Peace.